Hello and welcome back to another video. This is going to be the first video in a series on restoring this Bally transport of the rescue. I mentioned this briefly in a previous video when I was doing up the space station, because I'd gone to Belgium, driven to Belgium and back to go and pick this up. I couldn't find one for sale in the UK. So I think at that point it was sort of sat on its back, not set up, but it's set up for a little while now. So this first video I'll quickly sort of run over the condition the game's in, and then we'll start taking it to pieces. I think, as I mentioned before, Bally Transport the Rescue, it's a pretty rare game. I think they only made about 850 of them back in 1989, I think it was. And how many have survived to this day, I don't know. Like I said, when I was looking for one, I couldn't find one in the UK, so I had to go and drive into Europe to get this one. This one's actually in really nice shape, I think, anyway. It's been stored in a warehouse for the past sort of 9 years unplayed. So when I got it home, all I've really done so far is give it a bit of a clean, just so it's sort of presentable and can be played. So you'll see that if we look at the individual sort of areas, back box, the translight's really nice, really good condition, really clean, no real damage to it. So that should come up okay. Might need a bit of an extra clean on the back, but that's about it. The cabinet I cleaned when I got the game, because like I say, it's been stored in a warehouse, so it was a bit filthy. But actually in cleaning it, it's in really nice shape. A bit of fade in the red on this side. The other side is a lot better. An obvious fade on the front, but I think that's pretty common for these games. Can't really see down that side. It's a bit difficult where I've got the game, but yeah, the cabinet's come up lovely. The only thing that wasn't nice about the cabinet when I got it were the legs. So one of the first things I've already done this when I first got the game to make it sort of presentable to have in the house was I stripped and then repainted the legs. Just stripped it with they were rusty, and the existing paint was sort of flaking off and chipping off. So stripped it with some chemical stripper, some etch primer onto the bare metal, and then some I think I used satin black, and then some clear coat over the top of that, and hooked it with the yellow leg protectors. It doesn't look too bad. Like I say, I won't be doing anything else on the cabinet. I'm really happy with how the cabinet's come up. Most of the work is going to be on the game itself. Now again, the game is in reasonably nice shape. All I've done since I got this was I took off a couple of the major ramps just so I could get to places and just give it a bit of a clean, because it was really dirty and I didn't like playing it with that much dirt on it. So it's had a bit of a clean, but not properly stripped down, and certainly not the underside of the playfield stripped down. But as you can see, it's all there and it works, plays a game fine. I'm trying to think what the issues were when I first got it. So one of the main issue when I first got the game was the displays. The left-hand display was fine, the right-hand display didn't work. And as I know I'm going to be keeping this one for considerable time, I've been after one for a while, I've treated it to some new X-pin displays. So it's got brand new X-pin displays in, and they work really, really well, really high quality. And then I think the only other thing, I'm trying to think now what else was, if there's anything else wrong with it. I don't think there was. Some lamps are out, that was just a bit of adjustment. There are still lamps out, that needs sorting. But it played. There is still an issue with some of the GI on this right hand side, so there's supposed to be GI in the ship that's not working, and also you can see the left slingshot's not lit up, some of the lower GI. I suspect a connector, because I have seen it come on once. So I think that should be an easy fix. And then the only other major problem with it at the moment is the transporter shot, which you can't really see, but it's sort of, let's put my finger under there. If you follow that arrow, it goes under there into a scoop. It rejects a lot. So I'm assuming that something's not bent quite right. We need some drop dead foam or something can be done to make that a better shot. But at the moment, it just kicks it back out most of the time, which obviously makes getting the transporter shot a bit tricky, which is one of the main cool shots in the game. So I think that's about it. I'm going to start, as per usual, by stripping down the top side of the playfield, get everything off, may have a good assessment of what we've got there. Now obviously parts for this game are pretty much, well, game specific parts should I say, are pretty much impossible to get hold of. So any plastics or ramps etc, just no chance. The good news so far from my very brief look at the game is that all of the plastics seem to be in decent shape. I've not seen anything that's damaged. apart from the worst bit is the top of this slingshot has got a crack, but that is it. No corners missing or anything like that. So hopefully that will continue to be through the rest of the game. The UN or iron plastic's in decent nick. Some of the stickers are peeling a bit, but they can be sorted out. The ramps are in good shape. Now this is common sort of break areas on one of these apparently. This back ramp's in pretty reasonable shape. I can't see the entrance, but one of the most common areas for damage is on this Playfield crossover ramp. And this one, apart from the usual yellowing, apparently they all do that, is in good shape. There's no damage to it, no cracks. It's pretty much perfect. As with the transporter bowl as well, another thing would be difficult to get hold of. No damage that I saw when I took it off and had a quick look at it, so I think we're in good shape. There's not much really in the back box. Again, in the back box all the boards are in good nick. Not really had to do anything there. Like I say, replaced one GI connector to get the lights in the backboard to come on, but other than that, that's about it. So this is the start of a new multi-series of videos. We'll strip this game down like we did with Space Station and completely do it back up again. And hopefully it'll come out really nice in the end. Like I say, it's a good base game to start with this kind of restoration, so I'm quite hopeful this should turn into a really nice one. So I've started stripping the Playfield off and we've come across the first broken plastic. So if I pan into here, thankfully it's one where you don't really see it when you're playing the game, but you can see in here at the top of the sort of mini Playfield there's this plastic that goes across, and there's a great big chunk missing out of it here, and I think it's also supposed to, you can't really see that, extend down here to cover this wood, and it's been smashed to pieces. Obviously getting a replacement is going to be, I would have thought, impossible, but thankfully where it is, it's not going to make any difference. When it's all sort of screwed in properly, it all holds it in place anyway. So while it's not brilliant, I will live with it because you can't really see it. This is the first time I've noticed it when I've actually took the game to pieces. So we'll carry on taking bits off the Playfield, see what else we find. So I'm pretty much done with stripping the top side of the Playfield down now. As you can see, it's looking a bit different to how it did. Pretty much everything's off the top side, with the exception of anything, there's a few bits in the backboard, but I'll sort that out when I take the Playfield out of the game. The bumpers are still in. They look from underneath like the older Bally style bumpers, so they're on a big like plastic bracket which you can just completely drop out, I think. But again, I normally deal with those when I've got the Playfield out of the game, and upside down it's a bit easier. All the posts have gone. There's targets. The drop target banks are still in, obviously, so you can't see them, but they're down there. And the bonus target. The odd little bit sticking up still, the odd wire, mainly stuff connected to mechanisms on the bottom of the Playfield. So again, slingshots. But all the topside stuff is off. It's resulted in some various different sort of boxes and bowls full of parts. So I'll have a quick run through that just to sort of show you what you get when you've taken off the top side of this Playfield, including some of the sort of mini Playfields and other bits and pieces. But after that, the next job will be to start taking the bottom of the Playfield apart. So these are all the sort of small parts that have come off the top of the Playfield. I normally sort them or arrange them into sort of different tubs depending on what they are. So the first tub is basically all the little tiny bits, so screws, bolts, nuts, all that kind of stuff. It's not too bad actually. Not a huge amount of stuff to tumble. Not too bad for a game like this. The next one is all the sort of slightly bigger metal parts, basically a lot of ball guides. What else is in there? There's some brackets for kickers and things like that, but mainly ball guides is what's in there. And again, not a huge amount of stuff. This game actually, in terms of the top side of the Playfield, it's not a lot on it, so it came apart reasonably simply. This one is all of the sort of wiring looms and basically any other bits that aren't just straight up metal parts like these. So these two tubs here are going to go in the tumbler, except for the slightly bigger parts here, which I'll polish up by hand, but everything else goes in the tumbler. This is all sort of stuff I'm not putting in the tumbler and will be cleaning by hand. So little bits of wiring looms, there's some coils in there, the flipper bats are in there, some kicker parts. Now, so I have in the past tumbled these, and actually these are the nylon ones, so I might end up tumbling these as well. They never really come out that much better from having tumbled them, so it's something that you can just clean up and it's perfectly fine. And then the last tub is stuff I'm throwing away, but the reason I've kept this when I've taken it off, so it's mainly star posts and a few coil sleeves. So I'll be replacing these with all brand new, but I need to know how many to order, so I just check them. I can count them up later, and also which coil sleeves I need to get. I've got a big bag full of different brand new coil sleeves, so I need to get those out. But the stuff in there will get thrown away once I've counted it up for ordering new. The rest of this stuff will all get cleaned. The tumbler is ready to go, so I've got a few days of that rumbling away. But let's have a look at there's also another box full of sort of the bigger playfield parts, like the mini playfields and the stuff. So let's have a look at that, and I can show you some of the other stuff that came off the game. So this box contains all these sort of big parts that came off the top of the playfield. You can see here first, this is the mini playfield, I guess the UN Orion, the spaceship where you lock the balls with everything stripped off, so it's just the bare playfield. That'll get cleaned up. I'm toying with the idea for these two mini playfields of clear coating and just rattle can clear coating them to give them a bit of extra protection, but we'll see how they clean up. We've got sort of plastics, if you can see in there. These are the plastics that came off this mini playfield that form the ball guides. You've got a lot of plastic ramps in this game, so the famous transporter ramp itself, the bowl ramp that goes across the playfield, it's in pretty good shape actually. There's not really any damage I can see. Obviously it's yellowed, but it looks like that will clean up really well. You've also got this is the top part of the transport ramp that kind of sits over there, and there's flashes and stuff that go underneath it. What else have we got? So this is the other ramp. Let me put that down there so you can see it a bit better. So that's the other ramp again. It's actually in really good shape. There's a little crack at the entrance here, which I might try and do something about, but it doesn't get a lot of punishment, this ramp, so a good clean bit of flame polishing maybe, and that should come up lovely. What else have we got? This is the other mini playfield, I guess, where the ball's fed to the upper flipper. Again, with everything stripped off it, just needs a bit of a clean up. Again, I might have a go. That's the only wear, that tiny little bit there where the ball kicks out. I might have a go at touching that up if I can. If not, I'll definitely probably clear coat it anyway, just to give it some protection in the future. But again, should clean up really nicely. And then I won't go through all the rest of this, but there's things like pop bumper caps are in here. Some of the longer metal ball guides that you can see there. The parts under here, this plastic and the one underneath it, are the actual UN Orion itself, the main plastics for that. Oh, and then, yeah, you can't really see, but it's covered. This bag here, this is all the plastics, all the main playfield plastics off the game. Like I say, all in good shape, apart from the one I pointed out earlier, which is damaged. But everything else is in really good nick. So again, should clean up really nicely, and it should make a nice game when it's all done. So I think this is it for the first video. We've stripped the top side of the playfield down completely. I'm going to start getting the tumbler on and cleaning up the parts. I try not to save myself, like strip the top and the bottom all in one go, because then you have a long period of just cleaning parts and just tumbling stuff, and it gets on my nerves. So I think I will strip the game, we'll get the top side cleaned up, all bagged up, ready to go back on, and then I'll strip the underside of the playfield and sort of repeat the process. But that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks very much.